Good evening, everyone, and welcome to AUTV. My name is Franklin Samira. Coming up with you news at 6. Today is Friday, 16 January 2026. The headlines. Seri Asiopri to hold mass burial for 7 community members killed in road crash. Intim Fojo accuses government of deliberate LGBT push in schools. National Security Task Force storms structural terminals to halt illegal fare hikes. Abosiokan spare parts delays deny price hikes, aim transport shortages. News in details. The Seri Asiopri community in the Bia West district of the Western North region is preparing to hold a mass burial for 7 residents who lost their lives in a tragic road accident earlier this month. The deceased, 6 elderly women and 1 man, with an average age about 63, were all members of the community. The final funeral rites are the schedule of January 22nd, 2026, at the Seri Asiopri Community Center. The fatal accident occurred on January 7th, 2026, at Seri Asiekuma and involved a tricycle, popularly known as Aboboya, and a timber truck. According to eyewitness accounts, the Aboboya, which was transporting the rider and 7 market women, collided head-on with the timber ladder truck that was traveling in the opposition direction. The truck was reportedly speeding, forcing the tricycle rider to swerve in an attempt to avoid a crash. Despite the evasive movement, the truck allegedly rammed into the tricycle with devastating impact. 6 of the occupants died instantly after the Aboboya was completely mangled in the collision. 2 women who sustained critical injuries were rushed to the Esam Cocoa Farm Clinic, where they remain about admission and are receiving intensive medical care. Former Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, has accused the government of deliberate introduction LGBT related content into a teacher support manual for Year 2 physical education and health, describing the move as a coordinated and calculated agenda. Speaking on Joy FM's top story on Thursday, January 15th, Reverend Fojo claimed the collusion of the content was not accidentally but part of a systematic effort by the government. According to him, his initial concerns were brushed aside until he raised public alarm, which he said forced the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment to hurriedly convene an emergency meeting and issue a public statement. Reverend Fojo noted the NCCA later assured the public that the contentious section of the manual, particularly division related to agenda and gender identity, had been reviewed, corrected, and replaced with a revised version uploaded online. When you open the link, you realize that the definition of sex, sexuality, and sexual orientation is still there. Sexuality is described as a broad range of concepts related to sexual feelings, attraction, and behaviors towards other people, not necessarily the opposite sex. It includes sexual orientation, sexual behavior, and sexual identity, he stated. The former deputy minister maintained that these elements contradict Ghanaian cultural values and called for the complete removal of what views as inappropriate content from all educational support materials. Metro Mass Transit Limited says it expects to receive more than 350 new buses at the first week of February as part of efforts to expand service and ease pressure on heavily patronized intra-city roads in Accra. According to the company's head of communications, Mohammed Mubarak Ouattara, the buses are being procured under the government's program aimed at stabilizing public transport, especially during peak hours when commuters experience long waiting times and congestions. He disclosed that in December 2025, the Minister of Transport deployed his deputy Dorcas Afotoye to Egypt to inspect the ISUZU buses being acquired to MMTL. Speaking on City FM on Thursday, January 15, 2026, Mr. Watawa said Metro Matters has restricted its operations to patronize intra-city movement despite operating with a reduced fleet. He noted that some intensity services have been scaled down to redeployed buses to bus Accra corridors such as Adenta Accra, Carnation Accra, Circle Amasaman, and Nsawam, with operating hours on selected routes extended to meet rush hour demand. He explained that MMTL currently operates about 115 buses nationwide, far below what is required to fully serve all routes, making the focus on intra-city services necessary. Mr. Watawa added that delivery of the new buses was delayed after final inspections. The Member of Parliament for Goshingu Alhassan S. Tampuli had handed over a newly constructed girls' dormitory and expanded dining hall to the Goshingu Senior High School, reaffirming his commitment to improve education infrastructure in the constituency. The facilities were officially presented during a brief ceremony attended by the school's headmaster and the Goshingu Municipal Director of Education. At the ceremony, the MP urged students to improve their academic performance, especially in final examinations, and announced an expansion of his scholarship schemes to cover 300 students this year. With application notice to be published soon, he also donated 100 bags of cement to support the completion of perimeter fence wall to enhance security on the school campus. Spare parts dealers at Abosiokan had dismissed claims that high prices of vehicle components are to blame for the shortage of public transport vehicles, insisting that prices have generally fallen and should not be linked to commuters' currents. The chairman of Abosiokan Dealers Associated, Frank Otre, said the appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar has led to noticeable reduction in spare parts prices. Previous prices stressing that there is no justification for claims of widespread prices hikes in the market. Mr. Ochi noted that the only major challenge relates to spare parts for sprinter buses, which dominates public transport, and the importers and sellers those vehicles. He commended the government for stabilizing the currency, saying the improved exchange rate has contributed to lower prices, even as public concern grows over the limited availability of commercial vehicles. Dr. Peter Antepate, Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, has attributed the controversy over alleged LGBTQ related content in a senior high school teacher manual to lapses in quality control rather than the issue of timing or political intent. Speaking on Joy FM News Top Story, he claimed that teacher manuals are supposed to strictly reflect the approval curriculum, and any content outside it should have been identified and corrected during new process. His comment come aimed political accusation by Asin South MP Reverend John Intim Fojo, who claims the government has conveniently introduced LGBTQ ideology into schools through teacher manuals. The dispute centers on the year's second physical education and health teacher manual developed in 2024, while Reverend Fojo has called for a recall on the materials. NACCA has since directed teachers to return hard copies and is reviewing its internal process. Dr. Ati Pate welcomed this move, saying the episode should serve as a lesson to strengthen quality control and prevent similar controversies in the future. National security operatives have launched a high-profile enforcement operation at major transport hubs in Accra to curb the growing practices of arbitrary fares increases by commercial drivers, a development that has placed additional strain on commuters. The operation follows widespread complaints that some drivers have unilaterally increased fares, citing worsened traffic congestions and raising operational costs. Enforcement at Nkrumah Cycle. On Thursday, 15 January 2026, a special national security task force was deployed to the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, one of the capital's business transport centers. According to Adum TV, Tracy Akosua Japan, at least 5 operators were observed monitoring passenger transactions and fare charges. Their presence produced immediate results. Drivers cite traffic and loss of time. Despite the crackdown, Churchill operators argue that the current fare structure no longer reflects realities on the ground. Drivers on routes such as Circle Dome say prolonged traffic congestion, sometimes lasting 2 to 3 hours, has drastically reduced the number of daily trips they can make. Of late, the traffic has been worrying. We can be stuck for hours if we don't increase the price. We lost, one conductor explained, adding that some increase were sanctioned by station masters. Sector tensions. The Concerned Drivers Association had renewed calls for the dismissal of the transport ministers, accusing authorities of failing to implement long-promised transport and spatial master plans to ease congestions. Cost pressure. Although spare parts price of many vehicles have fallen, costs associated with Mercedes-Benz Sprinter buses widely used for public transport remain high, according to dealers. Government and GPRTU at odds. The government has condemned the unauthorized fare hikes. Minister of State in charge of government communication, Felix Kwachi Ofosu, has urged commuters to resist paying any fare not officially approved. He acknowledged challenges within the sector but warned that unilateral increases undermine economic stability and public trust. Meanwhile, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union says its members are under severe pressure. While calling for calm, the union has warned that delays in reviewing transport fares aimed operational challenges and pushing drivers to take matters into their own hands. Spare parts dealers push back. Contradicting claims of soaring operational costs, the Abosuakan Spare Parts Dealers Association has stated that prices of most vehicle components has declined due to the strength of the cedi, with the exception of parts of Sprinter buses. As enforcement continues, commuters remain caught between raising transport tensions and struggle for affordable mobility in the capital. This brings us to AU News. Before I end my news, recap on the headlines again. We are still pleased to hold mass burial for 7 community members killed in road crash. Interior Ministry proposes 25% sentence reduction for productivity intimate. National Security Task Force storms structural terminals to halt illegal fares hikes. Abosuakan Spare Parts Dealers deny prices hikes aim transport shortages. Metro Miles to receive more than 300 new buses in February 2026. Bashingu MP Alhassan Tamli hands over rebuilt girls' dormitory, expands scholarship schemes. LGBTQ curriculum. Quality control failure, not timing, cause teacher manual controversy. Dr. N.T. Party.